Now, to help discuss this more and the dangers of also Iran's saber rattling and how much this is going to now potentially get even worse, we're joined now by Ioana Constantin-Bercean, PhD, Institute of Political Science and International Relations from the University of Bucharest. Thanks so much for having us here on World Tonight.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Now, Iran's supreme leader said that Israel, and here I quote, must be punished, and it shall be, for attacking an Iranian consular building in Syria. Now, today, Defense Minister of Israel, Yoav Gallant, and Foreign Minister Israel Katz said that if Iran launches an attack from its own soil, then Israel would strike back. Now, like I said before, is this a ticking bomb? Is this just a matter of days, weeks, and something will happen between these two countries?
Well, we have to look a little bit at the wider picture, because when you look from Iran, from Tehran, actually, from the Islamic Republic of Iran toward Israel, the perception is that Israel, it's the long extension or the long arm of the United States. So basically, we can say that it's beyond ideological or religious conflict or anything around it. We can wrap it. It's more as geostrategical battle of discourses, and not only because, as you know, Iran sponsors some regional groups to fight against Israel or to attack Israel. However, regarding a straight war, a direct war between Iran and Israel, as in my evaluation, such a war, it's not in the near sight. It's not going to happen today or tomorrow in the near future, because from one side, Iran knows that once they launch an attack from the Iranian soil, that would mean that Iran is actually declaring war, directly war to Israel. And what that means that United States and other Western allies are going to support any military action against Iran. So Iran cannot handle, such a war, because it's obviously that military, logistically, United States, of course, it's way above what Iran can handle. And the main concern from government of Tehran, it's its own survival. So basically, we are looking to a very, very strong answer from Ayatollah Khamenei. However, if we look back in the past, even when Israeli Secret Service killed some Iranian scientists, physical scientists in nuclear field, Iran responded in the same way, very aggressively, yet not militarily. Because, as I said, that would be the end of the government in Tehran as we know it. On the other hand, for Israel to go by itself alone to a war against Iran, it's very complicated. It cannot be done. It cannot be well ended without United States military or capabilistically support. So it would not be the first time when these two leaders, Benjamin Netanyahu and Ayatollah Khamenei, or other Iranian president, as it was the case for Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, for example, they had this spiral of violence, this spiral of rhetoric, very strong, very, very dangerous up to one point. Yet, we have to put in Iranian shoes. They have to answer somehow. But if we go back in the past,
but
the action
on the past, let me just jump in there, Ioana. You said go back in the past. That's what I want to do now with us as well in my next question. Also, let's try and run that tweet now. It was already mentioned by Anya. It's significant here, this tweet from Foreign Minister Katz of Israel. Show that with our viewers now. Significant here that it's also being shown in Hebrew and in Farsi, and that's the translation there in English as well. So just to repeat, if Iran attacks from its territory, Israel will respond and attack Iran. Now, you did say there's been rhetoric on this, and that's correct. There has been strong rhetoric from both sides. So there's extension of the arm of the United States on one hand and the other with Iran. But nevertheless, let's go back to the recent strikes in Damascus that have killed very senior generals, I think believes 2 generals and 5 officers of Iran at the consulate building in Damascus. Now, this was followed several other ones prior to that, rather, in Damascus in December, an IR Guard advisor as well. Then we had another one in January in Damascus, killed several advisors again. Now, but the significance of hitting the consular building, I think somehow has some people more worried. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a diplomatic building. This potentially could have struck the ambassador of Iran. So has Israel maybe overstepped a bit and given Iran maybe that reason, casus belli, if you will, or is this still on the brink?
As you mentioned very well, Iranian consulate, as any consulate or any diplomatic mission in any country, is considered to be that country territory. So basically, if we go by the book, the consulate, it is Iranian territory. So yes, we can consider it as a casus belli. But on the other hand, as I mentioned, it would be not the first time when, and I explicitly underline, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to drag United States in a war against Iran. And he has been refused repeatedly by Bush administration, by Obama administration. And even Biden administration is sending a very strong message that United States is not going to support in a military action against Iran. Because as I said, it is very dangerous at this time. Not because of the superiority of the army, of Iranian army, but because of the danger of this war to extend in the region and to create more and more problems. Let's remember that we are in an year where the Americans, they will go to vote for their next president. So just to put it in the brackets, for example, a few days ago, the Muslim community from United States, they refused President Biden's invitation for iftar dinner. You know, as you mentioned very well in your presentation, that the holy month of Islam is over. So normally this is it's customary for the White House to have this dinner for Muslim community, and this Muslim community is not going to support President Biden, administration Biden, for any other war, particularly you know, when we start the talking points from what is happening in Gaza and with all those deaths. But as I said, for this spiral of violent rhetoric between Tel Aviv and Tehran is no new. And of course, Iran has to respond. But on the both sides, there is this kind of understanding that going to war against each other with any other kind of support, it is quite dangerous for both of them. Mm-hmm. Israel, for example, now it's involved already in Gaza, with this war against Hamas, with terrorist Hamas. And for Iran, on the other hand, they really don't have any strong allies who would go to war with them. Not even China, because China is very pragmatic, and China will not go to war along with Iran.
But to your point, if I may just interrupt you for a second, because we're running out of time, I just want to say this, that today we found out there are reports that unnamed U.S. intelligence sources told CNN that Iran is unlikely to attack Israel directly, will instead urge various proxies in the region to launch attacks, which we have seen in the past, like Houthi rebels, etc. Ioana, thank you very much for being here with us, and thank you for unpacking this issue, complex issue of the Middle East with us. Have a good night.